Check when you were speaking about particularly, the example that you used of say the Hungarian camera woman and tripping up the refugees, and that was seen, and then you kind of approached that particular issue through the lens of, I think, a lot of compassion, and I think that might surprise some people, because when incidents or cases or things like that happen, we see the ugliness of what's possible by human beings. We don't end up being those who offer compassion. But you offered a very strong sense of understanding and compassion and principle. And I just wanted you to explore that just a little bit, because there seems to be a connection between the call to speak no evil and to behave compassionately in the world. And I see a link between you're making a link between the two, and maybe if you could clarify or expand
I
that.
mean, I think that most of the time when people say things that are damaging to others, it has a lot more to do with them, what's going on inside them, than with the other people. So one way that you can think about this, if you're on the receiving end of, the venom, then, what I try to do, I'm not always successful, what I try to think about is, well, it's really more about that person than about me. They're having a bad day, they don't really know me that well. Obviously, if it's someone who doesn't know me, a driver on the street or someone in the supermarket who comes and says something to me, then they don't know me, right? So they can't obviously have a problem with me, it's a problem with them, right? It's an issue inside of them. And if it's an issue inside of them, and it takes them to the degree that the only way they know how to cope with their issues is to hurt others, then I feel sorry for them, right? And I pity them. I may get angry at them, but in the final summation, he's a book, or she's a book, they're a story. And you might just be looking at the cover, right? And the cover might say something on it, but you haven't opened the book. You don't know the whole narrative behind the day or the week or the month or the years that led to that person being the way they are right now. And perhaps if you were privy to that, right? If there was a way in an instant where that whole person's life could flash before you, and you see all of the background, right? How different would our reaction be, right? And I think it would be markedly different, right? Why is it that we are more tolerant of these type of things with people that we know and we even call friends than with people we don't know? Why are we more tolerant with this with people who we think to be kind of ideologically kind of on the same side as us? And were it to come from someone who is not, we would be much more quick to criticize. And we know that. We realize that in each and every one of us. Because we have access to the background, life story. If we're being charitable, that's the reason, and not some type of group solidarity thing. But let's say that I have access to the backstory of this person. So I am more inclined to be compassionate with that because, oh, you know what? I know they lost their father last year and they were going through a difficult time and now they're acting out, so I'm not going to. But we don't know that so there's no story like that for the person that you just, that Hungarian woman, who knows what her day was like before she actually decided to trip that person up? Do we know the whole story? Is there a backstory? Is there something that we should be aware of, right? But at the minimum, we know there is one. We may not know the details, but we know there is one. So everybody's a story. Everybody's a narrative. And isn't it more beneficial for those people to open up a little bit about their story, their narrative? And the way that you can do that is by showing them compassion when they're not compassionate with you. And this is actually a mark of Nubuwwah. Sayyidina Salman al-Farisi, he was told by the monk in Jerusalem, there's going to be 3 signs. You're going to look for the prophet of Nabi Akhir al-Zaman, the prophet of the last days. And one of those signs will be that in as much as that he is disparaged and harmed, he will only increase in gentleness and compassion towards those people. He said that's a sign. Look for that. هذه من علامات النبوة, sign of prophethood. So should it not be the sign of following prophethood? Right? If it's a sign of prophet, shouldn't it be not a sign also of how we follow prophets and prophethood and their message? And so I see this as a great opportunity, right? All of this discussion about Muslims and they're under the gun and, what are they all about and where they're coming from, what they're going to do. It's an opportunity because people are looking at us. So we can choose to be and follow the blueprint of those before us and work as a very kind of special type of special interest group and, work diligently to see that our needs are addressed, and that is a way. Or we can be a little bit more magnanimous than this, right? A little more big-souled than this, and kind of take everything in and say, here's an opportunity for us to show them who we actually are. And we're not a special interest group. We're here for humanity. We're here to serve Allah, God first, and via our service to Allah, we will serve humanity. And that's why we're here. That's what we're about. Not so that I can secure halal lunch at my school, or that we have a stamp that says Eid on it, or that we have days off for Eid. These are good things. You know, I mean, it's good to work for those things, but is that why we're here? Is that why Allah put us in these countries, in these societies, so that, you know, we can just raise to prominence within our own circles, or are we here to serve humanity? And I think that's the question of the day.
Jazakallah khairan, Shaykh Walead, for a really, that was really thought-provoking and heart-provoking.
Barakallahu feek.
Jazakumullahu khairan.